Venus is closer to the sun, and it is the opposite, with temperatures at blisteringly hot.
Have you ever wondered about Venus, the very hot planet next to Earth? Well, we've got some exciting news for you. Recently, some top-secret pictures of Venus were revealed, and they're like nothing you've ever seen before. These pictures were taken a long time ago by the Soviet Union, but they were kept hidden from the public until now. And guess what? A famous scientist named Michio Kaku is helping us understand these amazing pictures. What secrets do these mysterious photos reveal about Venus? Exploring Venus. Venus is much closer to the sun than Earth is, and it's really hot there. Imagine a place so hot that it reaches 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Venus is covered in thick clouds, and for a long time, people didn't know much about what was underneath them. But now, we have some amazing photos to show you that were hidden for many years. These pictures were taken by the Soviet Union a long time ago, but nobody saw them until recently. Now, let's shift our focus from exploring Venus to understanding Earth's position and the unexpected heat on Venus. Earth's position and Venus's unexpected heat. In our solar system, Earth is in a special place between two very different planets, Mars and Venus. Mars is really cold, almost like a big frozen desert. Then there's Venus, which is closer to the sun than Earth is. You might think that Venus should be warmer than Earth because it's closer to the sun, but there's something surprising about it. Venus is actually way hotter than we would expect. It's so hot that the temperature can reach up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like being in a super hot oven. This is strange because based on where Venus is, it shouldn't be that hot. It should be warm, but not extremely hot like it is. So, people have always wondered why Venus is so much hotter than we think it should be. Now, let's transition from discussing Earth's position and Venus's unexpected heat to unveiling the top-secret pictures of Venus. The top-secret pictures of Venus. A long time ago, the Soviet Union was very interested in space, sent spacecraft to Venus. They took special photos of what Venus looks like. But these photos were kept secret for many years. Most people never got to see them. Then, something exciting happened. A famous scientist named Michio Kaku showed these secret photos to everyone for the first time. These are very special photos because they show us what the surface of Venus looks like, which is something that not many people have seen before. Michio Kaku explained these photos to help us understand more about Venus. It was a big deal because these photos were hidden for so long, and now we can finally see what this hot, mysterious planet really looks like. The space race. During the Cold War, two big countries, the Soviet Union and the United States, were competing in something called the space race. This wasn't a race with cars or people running, but a competition to see who could learn more about space and do amazing things there first. Both countries wanted to prove they were the best at exploring space. They worked really hard to make new space technology. This led to many exciting things like sending astronauts into space, launching satellites that go around Earth, and even exploring the moon and other places far away in space. The Soviet Union had a very ambitious space program. They wanted to go beyond just looking at Earth from space. They wanted to explore other planets and do things no one had done before. One of the planets they were really interested in was Venus. They were the first country to send a spacecraft to land on Venus, which was a huge achievement. NASA was also doing lots of important space missions. They were exploring Mars, Jupiter, and other parts of space. This competition between the Soviet Union and the United States helped to create a lot of new knowledge and technology for space exploration. Moving from the space race, let's now delve into the Soviet Union's Venus mission. Soviet Union's Venus mission. The Soviet Union decided to explore Venus, one of our nearest planets. They started a series of space missions called Venera, which is the Russian word for Venus. These missions were really special because they were some of the first times anyone tried to explore Venus up close. The first mission, Venera 1, tried to go to Venus, but it didn't make it. The Soviet Union didn't give up though. They kept trying, and they learned from their mistakes. Each new Venera mission was a bit better and went a bit further. They sent more spacecrafts to Venus, and each time they tried to learn new things about the planet. One of the big successes was Venera 7, which actually landed on Venus in 1970. This was a really big deal because Venus is a very harsh place with super high heat and pressure, like being deep underwater and in a hot oven at the same time. Landing there was really hard, but the Soviet Union managed to do it. Venera 7 even sent back information after landing on Venus. It told scientists that Venus was really hot, like over 900 degrees Fahrenheit, and the pressure was very high. The Soviet Union didn't stop there. They sent even more missions to Venus, like Venera 8, 9, 10, and others. Each mission tried to learn different things. Some took pictures of Venus, which was the first time we ever saw what the surface of Venus looked like. It was all rocky and different from Earth. Transitioning from the Soviet Union's Venus mission, let's delve into the technical details of the Venera probes. Technical details of Venera probes. The Venera probes were pretty big and heavy. For example, some of them weighed about 1,400 pounds, which is as heavy as a small car. Inside the probes, they had special air pressure, like what we have here on Earth. This was important to keep the instruments inside working properly, even in the extreme conditions on Venus. Venus is super hot, so the Venera probes had to be able to handle this heat. They were built with materials and systems to keep everything inside from getting too hot. Landing on Venus was really tricky. The probes had parachutes to help them slow down as they fell through Venus's atmosphere. The atmosphere is thick and heavy, so the probes had to be really tough to make it to the surface without breaking. The probes carried a lot of scientific tools to study Venus. They had sensors to measure things like temperature, pressure, and what the air and ground on Venus are made of. Some of the later Venera probes had cameras to take pictures of Venus's surface. This was a big challenge because of the hot and harsh conditions, but they managed to get some photos, which was a huge achievement. Over time, the design of the Venera probes got better and better. The later ones, like Venera 13 and 14, were even more advanced. They could measure things like the speed of the wind on Venus. Moving on from discussing the technical details of the Venera probes, let's now explore the discoveries they made and the challenges they faced. Discoveries and challenges. Let's delve into some of the discoveries and challenges with the space missions. The atmosphere, or the air around Venus, is mostly made of carbon dioxide with some sulfuric acid and other gases. This is very different from Earth. There's a runaway greenhouse effect on Venus. This means that Venus traps heat really well, making it the hottest planet in our solar system. Venus doesn't have a global magnetic field like Earth does, which is interesting to scientists. The missions also sent back the first pictures of the surface of Venus, showing a rocky alien landscape. The pressure on Venus is about 92 times that of Earth's, which is a lot. It's like the pressure you'd feel almost a kilometer under the ocean. The heat on Venus is a major challenge. The Venera probes had to be specially designed to survive temperatures that can melt metals. The atmosphere is full of harsh chemicals, like sulfuric acid, which can damage spacecraft. Landing on Venus was really hard because of the high pressure and heat. Some probes crashed or didn't last long after landing. Sending information back to Earth from Venus was tough because of the distance and the planet's thick atmosphere. Continuing from our discussion on discoveries and challenges, let's now take a look at the first images captured from Venus. First images from Venus. The Venera missions from the Soviet Union did something really amazing. They took the first pictures ever from the surface of Venus. This was a big deal because no one had ever seen what Venus's surface looked like before. These missions were really special because they were the first ones to send back photos from Venus. The pictures showed a rocky and strange-looking landscape. The land was full of stones and it looked very different from Earth. The cameras on these probes had wide-angle lenses. This means they could capture a lot of the scene in one photo. The pictures were sharp and detailed, but they looked a bit weird because of the wide-angle effect. The images gave us a view of Venus that we'd never seen before. They showed the edges of the landers and the rocky ground of Venus. It was like looking at a totally different world. These first images were important because they gave scientists their first real look at Venus's surface. Before this, we only had guesses about what Venus might look like. Transitioning from our exploration of the first images from Venus, let's now turn our attention to Michio Kaku's insights on this fascinating subject. Michio Kaku's insights. Michio Kaku talked about the photos that were taken a long time ago by the Soviet Union. He explained what we see in these pictures and why they are important. One of the cool things he pointed out was signs of volcanoes on Venus. The photos showed places where lava flowed and created craters. This tells us that Venus has had a lot of volcanic activity in the past. Kaku also noticed signs that there might have been water on Venus. He saw things like polished rocks and channels in the ground, which could mean that water used to flow there. The photos showed that Venus has lots of different kinds of rocks and minerals. This means that the planet has a complex geology, which is something scientists want to study more. Kaku mentioned that some rocks on Venus are similar to rocks on Earth and Mars. This is interesting because it might mean that the three planets have some things in common that we didn't know about before. Even with these new insights, there are still many things we don't know about Venus. There are bright and dark areas in the photos, which could mean there are still many secrets to uncover about Venus's surface and what's happening there. Continuing from Michio Kaku's insights, let's now consider future prospects and the unanswered questions surrounding our study of Venus. Future prospects and unanswered questions. Looking ahead, there's a lot more we want to find out about Venus, the hot and mysterious planet next to us. Even though we've learned a lot, there are still many questions we haven't answered yet. Why is Venus so different from Earth? Scientists are really curious about why Venus is so different from Earth. They're both about the same size and close to each other in space, but they're very different. Venus is super hot and has a lot of pressure, while Earth is cooler and has life. Scientists want to figure out why they turned out so differently. There's a big question about whether Venus ever had oceans and if it could have supported life a long time ago. We're not sure yet, but finding out more about Venus's history could help answer this. People are thinking about how we could send more missions to Venus. These could be robots or maybe even astronauts one day. These missions would help us learn even more about Venus, like what it's made of and what's happening on its surface right now. Going to Venus is not easy. It's very hot and the pressure is high, so we need to figure out how to make spacecraft that can survive there and send back information. By studying Venus, we might learn things that could help us take better care of our own planet, Earth. For example, understanding Venus's greenhouse effect could give us ideas about how to deal with climate change here. Michio Kaku, the scientist, thinks it's really important to keep exploring Venus. He believes that by being curious and using our creativity, we can discover a lot more about Venus. This could help us understand not just Venus, but also more about space and even our own planet. We hope you found these facts intriguing. If you've heard them before or have any thoughts to share, please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to A Universe to join us on our journey of discovery.